All right, man. Tory Talk. You know what it is, man. How y'all doing, man? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. All right, man. So look, man. I don't know what we gonna do with this Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion thing, man. But this is it's getting worse for her. You got a lot of people coming out now, and I know a lot of people think that Tory Lanez did this, but I think we might owe Tory an apology, and I think a little more than that, because there's too much evidence against this. And I did another video about this. I'm sure y'all seen it, but I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but we're gonna talk about it today. Before I get into that, you know I got to get the legendary spill. This is Torture Talk. If you like the content, please consider subscribing. If you're new here, let me work for your subscription today. All the beautiful, single, sexy ladies, but one in the chat. All the fellas, y'all know where to find the ones at. Just don't harass them. I don't sell no merch, but I do have content absolutely free. But if you want to leave a donation, link is in the description. Cash App, no more PayPal. They call me the Hidden Gem. 1,300 subscribers, over 13, 14, 15, 16, 17,000. Yes, I am the king of the north. Let me know what kingdom you from. 25,000 subscribers, I will be giving away a nice size cash prize. If you want to donate, right here, Torture Talk. If you don't see my face, don't put that donation. But if you see me with the crown on, that's me. All right, so look, man, if you don't have to donate, you don't have to donate. I'm just putting it out there. But if you don't want to, it's all good too. All right, look. So let's get to this, man. Let's get to it. All right, man. This comes courtesy of Flacco. You know what it is, man. So let's get it.
This Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion situation that we've been covering for the last year and a half is scary. And it gets scarier the more you dig through the rabbit hole, because the deeper you go, the quicker you realize this is much bigger than Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion. There's a lot more characters at play here who participated in a railroading of Tory Lanez. And they didn't participate in a railroading of Tory Lanez because they had this infinity for Megan Thee Stallion or they care for Megan Thee Stallion. As far as I'm concerned, Megan Thee Stallion was also used as a pawn in this situation. This is much deeper than celebrity culture. This goes to politics. See, as we dig deeper and we learn more about the situation, new characters begin to get introduced, like George Gascon, the district attorney for Los Angeles, who just lost his re-election.
We heard, that possibly he could be exonerated here. I want you to give my audience what they don't know and your analysis of actually what went down.
All right, so maybe about a year ago, I talked about this with one of my friends, and we talked about this in a like I'm talking about like a long conversation about this. And I said to him, why is it that they're really, really trying to put Tory Lanez in prison? And he couldn't answer that. He just was giving me little pieces here and there about, things that happened, but he never really can answer. I said, but why is it that they trying? Like, what did he do? You know what I mean? Because we can't really prove whether he did this or not. And to me, we going off of her word. But you have to ask yourself, if we're going off of Megan Thee Stallion word, how many times did Megan Thee Stallion lie? And she didn't lie at that time. But after the Gayle King and all this, how many times did she lie? That's the question that I have. And I said, I said to him, why do you think they're really trying to lock him up? And I didn't want to go into the political thing because I didn't think that that's what it was, but this is kind of shocking to me if it is. This is new to me.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me. And I got to tell you, I've been involved in looking into this case for almost about 6 months exactly now. It was brought to me by a board member, Diana London, with the Caldwell Institute for Public Safety, who regularly says she believed Tory Lanez was innocent. And as I looked through the case and I noticed a number of irregularities in the case, I began to come to that same conclusion that this was an innocent person. Let me take you back to the very beginning. First and foremost, we got a George Soros-funded prosecutor named George Gascon, who was prosecuting this case. He was at the time coming off of his second recall attempt. He was in severe trouble as he had lost support in numerous demographics, key demographics to his electoral success, including Black women. And he needed to do what.
Now, I want y'all to keep that name in mind. People talking about George Soros, look him up. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to go too deep into it because I don't want to. I can, but I don't want to. But look him up. And there's a lot of people saying that he does certain things to keep the Black community in disarray. Let's just say that. So, but look him up if y'all want to check him out. You know what I'm saying? Look him up. You know what I'm saying? But outside of that, if he was funding this guy and this guy was losing support from a certain demographic of people and they wanted somebody to be used as some type of sacrificial lamb, then there you is. His birthday was the perfect case at the perfect time.
Ever he could to possibly win this election. I believe if Jesus Christ was Tory Lanez's attorney, Tory Lanez would have still lost his case no matter what.
When Gascon first got elected, a lot of his progressive policies sounded great in theory, and it sounded like something that the people of LA wanted, like zero bail policy for like 95% of crimes until people realized that their perpetrators were being released, or, like minors not being charged in adult courts until people realized that people were committing murders intentionally and sending 16 and 15-year-olds to commit these murders intentionally, knowing that those 16-year-olds will be released by 25. So people were killing people's brothers and fathers and sisters and being released in 9 years. And they felt like this was severely unfair. So they turned on Gascon, right? And when Gascon tried to get reelected, he realized fairly quickly, they not messing with me, bro. Like, these people are not feeling me no more. It got so bad for Gascon, they were literally trying to recall him and get him out of here. They wanted him gone. And he was public enemy number one for a lot of conservatives, and they would use him as the greatest examples of the failures of progressive policies in these urban cities. And people will look at Los Angeles and the crime rates and how unsafe the streets were, and they will blame it all on Gascon. Gascon understood this. He understood the public backlash coming from Twitter, understood the narrative, and he understood he was losing supporters. So him doing this, him going full progressive mode, doing things in his Tory Lanez case that he didn't do for other cases to try to win over the hearts of rap fans, of Black women who support Megan Thee Stallion, to send a message, that's not too far-fetched, to be honest. At first, I probably thought it was. But now, as I look deep, that's not too far-fetched, bro.
Tory's attorneys.
Yeah, no, he's absolutely right about that. I mean, you have to understand, like, some of these, not me going too deep into the politics, the political sphere, but some of these progressive ideologies really do hurt Black men, believe it or not. A lot of y'all probably don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. I mean, it does. And basically, how would I say this? Letting a criminal go early after they did an egregious crime doesn't help Black people. I'm sorry. That's just what the bottom line. If somebody did an egregious crime like murder or something like that, and they get off early, that does not help Black people. If it's in the Black community, I'm saying. And these was the policies that these people were putting in place. So, you know what I'm saying? Now, regardless of how we got there, that's a different story. But it is what it is. But you got to understand, this is the trickery that they play on both sides. So let's keep it going. I'm gonna run it back a little bit.
That's not too far-fetched, to be honest. At first, I probably thought it was. But now, as I look deep, that's not too far-fetched, bro.
Tory's attorneys have alleged prosecutorial misconduct, suppressing of evidence, exculpatory evidence being withheld. And I believe them based on the facts. But why is it that they never tested her DNA onto the gun? You knew that she had gunpowder on her hand. They found that out. Why didn't they test that? Why is it that they added this enhancement?
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Like, why is it that and this to me this speaks to not just Meg and Tory, but this speaks to black men in general, right? Why is it that everybody is so quick to say he did this? Why? Did he ever do anything like this before? Did you ever see him ever disrespect a woman before? Maybe, I don't know. I'm just asking. I never seen it. Right? On top of that, we all know the type of woman Meg is. And again, I'm just giving y'all the facts. I ain't saying anything. Y'all know what type of woman she is. But for some reason, to me, it seems like we kind of give women a pass, even though we know their past. We give them a pass. We give Megan a pass, even though we know she was into some type of all types of things. You know what I'm saying? I just don't think it's in Tory's demeanor to pow at her when the whole situation basically started because of her. Even her friend admitted that. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't understand. But at the same time, why is it that all of this stuff is withheld, but everybody's still saying he did it? So if he did it, then why do they need to withhold this? Why did they not test her for this? Why did they not do that? Why did they skip all of these processes when it came to him? I don't understand.
Why is it that they never tested her DNA onto the gun? You knew that she had gunpowder on her hand. They found that out. Why didn't they test that? Why is it that they added this enhancement to his case? Now, enhancements are used for violent gang members, people with a history of brutal crime. George Gascon has had numerous people who have had brutal crimes that he didn't recommend an enhancement. One by the name of Raymond Danger Gonzalez, who murdered, premeditated 2 individuals, including a teenager, and he stole their money. No recommendation for enhancements from George Gascon. Or the General Hospital actor Johnny Wagner. He was brutally murdered. No recommendation for enhancements. So this led me to believe instantly that George Gascon had put on a front. He wanted to pretend to be tough on crime so he could have a silver bullet for his next election because he had a black woman that he can say that he protected. And it's insane that unfairness is pushing through our justice system, but we've seen this with numerous cases with George Gascon. And that's why the Caldwell Institute got involved in this case, because injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
The playbook that Gascon...
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Again, I see a lot of y'all YouTubers still trying to say that he did it. It's crazy, yo. You got like I can't wait to see a lot of these YouTubers come out and apologize. I can't wait. I can't wait. Because my thing is, I don't care how uncomfortable certain things may feel to certain people, but you always should tell the truth, man. You got to tell the truth. You can't just because somebody is watching your channel and you like, well, I don't want to offend them. The truth can offend people sometimes. It is what it is, man. I'm sorry. But that's what it is. Some people get offended by the truth. And this is not opinionated stuff. This is things that they look like typically do for other people, but they end up taking it out for this guy. That's all I'm saying. This is weird to me.
Try to run isn't a new playbook. It's actually a pretty effective playbook. Gascon was just so bad and did too much damage that it was too late for him. It didn't work. But the playbook is ran in the presidential election almost every 4 years. Think about it, bruh. Think about it. How come the police shooting of black men aren't publicized until it's election year? Think about it for a second, bro. Think about all the instances of police shootings that come to your mind immediately. How come those incidents only happen, well, they happen frequently but they only get publicized and blasted to the masses in terms of CNN, Fox News, every news outlet, social media, marching, protesting, looting. All the chaos happens during the election year. That's because you know what happens? Some of that money gets thrown out to these media companies, gets marketing. They push the money into spreading and publicizing the police shooting because they want to fearmonger. They want to create this illusion that they're about to step in and save you from this big bad monster. Then once they get elected, the big bad monster that you thought was prevalent and a really big deal, you come to find out, okay, those are fringe cases. Those cases probably happen once in 1,000.
That's a fact. What he just spit was 100% facts. And again, if you are, how would I say this? If you're minuscule thinking and small minded, and I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. I'm saying if you're not a deep thinker, if you're not a critical thinker, if you're just a surface level thinker, or if you even just watch Fox News, or if you just watch CNN, MSNBC, if you just watch that and you get their talking points and their thinking, I'm not talking to you. This is for the critical thinkers, the people who can think on their own. That's a fact. They publicize and marketalize, I don't know if that's even a word, but they market Black Death during election season. They do it all the time because you know why? It helps us, Black people, well, not help us, but it makes Black people vote off of their emotions. That's what they do. Now, there are a lot of Black people who vote because they know the policies, but most of the time, and this goes on both sides, when they talking to Black people, it's all about race and emotions and victimhood. That's what it is. So when you see MSNBC and they say something like, a Black man was shot by a white police officer. See, in your head, you're thinking like, oh, they're being honest about it. That's the trickery to get you to say, damn, all these white cops is killing all these Black men. It keeps you mentally running on that what they call that victimhood wheel. And again, I'm not saying that this stuff doesn't happen, because it do. But you have to be able to separate the two. Because if you sit here and you constantly watch the same news organizations, whether it's Fox or MSNBC or CNN, constantly, and you don't say, well, maybe I need to have some type of diverse thoughts, you end up following the propaganda that either Fox News tells you or MSNBC or CNN tells you. You don't have the mentality to actually remove yourself and say, well, let me think for myself and let me do some research here and there and then talk about this here and there. Maybe I need to think about this and not just take their word for it, because I think it's called an allegory. They give you something that it looks one way, but when you step back and you look at it, it's actually the opposite. And they're very good at doing that. And I'm talking like news programs are very good at propaganda that keeps your mind thinking about one thing. You know what I'm saying? So he's absolutely right about that. That's exactly what they do. And to get Black people to vote, this is what they say. And you don't have to take my word for it. You could literally look this stuff up. You don't have to take my word for it. This is exactly what they say. If somebody gets shot, bang. You say, oh, we need to march in the streets. And then they get the politicians involved, right? Politicians come out and say, this shouldn't be happening. We can fix this. All you have to do is go to www.blahzablah.com and donate. Every one of them end with donate. Every one of them. We're going to change the system. Donate to me, and I'm going to get in office and I'm going to change it all. And do they really do that? I mean, we could really talk if y'all want to. We could really talk. But they never do that. They've been tricking black people since the 60s. But I'll save that for another video. Let's keep it going.
Like, bro, in your life, you'll probably never experience that. But you go 4 years without really thinking about it. And then right when the election year comes again, boom, you got another big story that's everywhere. And now they want to fearmonger you again. That's what George Gascon tried to do. After years of allowing murderers to go free, allowing robbers and looters to come out without any bond, he wanted to be harder on Tory Lanez than literal murderers. He wanted to give Tory Lanez enhancements that he didn't give to actually people who killed people. Even if you believe that Tory Lanez is guilty, think about it. Do you think it's fair that Tory Lanez would get a gun enhancement when people who have actually killed people don't? It doesn't make
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, again, I don't know why. And I know why. I know why. Because a lot of y'all think y'all free-minded, but y'all actually captured by the propaganda. But a lot of y'all YouTubers I'm talking about, not the chat. I'm talking about the YouTubers. The YouTubers are caught by the propaganda, and they follow behind whatever that's said. This is what it is. It's the easy way. Now there's some smart ones, but he's absolutely right about that. Why is that they gave him this special provision when it comes to Tory Lanez in this gun situation, but actual murders don't get that? Actual people who actually deleted people don't get it. I mean, you have to ask yourself that. And again, we are too lazy to look into these things because media, social media, and mainstream media, they hand it to us on a platter. And it be a platter full of lies. And you thinking it's the truth and it's lies.
sense, right? And I'm not talking about people already serving life. I'm talking about people who have literally killed somebody and come home in like 10 years. At this point, it's not if Tory Lanez is going to get released, it's when is Tory Lanez going to get released. Because the justice system is going to prevail, bruh. This level of corruptness has to be corrected for the sake of our Constitution. Now, Tory Lanez's father and Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, who is also really close friends with Trump, has been campaigning on behalf of Tory Lanez. And you know this situation is bad. You know it's really corrupt when you have people who are on the opposite side of things who usually don't agree when they start agreeing on things. When you have peers.
Yeah, and that's another thing I was going to say. I believe that she's not even a Republican. You know what I'm saying? I think she's a Democrat. But there are people, I don't know if she's a Democrat or Republican. I'm just saying. I know she's a congresswoman, but I don't know which side she stands on. I really didn't look into her. Be honest about that. But there are people who don't like Trump at all. And they are agreeing with Tory Lanez should be pardoned. They're seeing that what happened to him was wrong. There are people who are doing that. I'll tell you the craziest thing. Trump pardons Tory Lanez and Diddy. Yeah. If he pardons Tory Lanez and Diddy, but I don't think Trump can actually pardon him. It will have to be Gavin Newsom who pardons him or give him a temporary pardon because it might be a state thing and not a federal thing. And Gavin Newsom might pardon him. Who knows? Let's keep going.
Morgan calling Megan Thee Stallion inconsistent and a liar. You know you have a problem on your hands here, bruh. Now, Anna Paulina seen Trump yesterday. I'm sure she talked to Trump about this. Now, she's calling on Governor Newsom to pardon Tory Lanez. But it don't even have to be a full-on pardon. All they literally have to do is get rid of the gun enhancement. The gun enhancement is why Tory Lanez is currently in jail right now. Without the gun enhancement, Tory Lanez will be out of jail right now. He will be, he'll be out. Like, it'll be time served.
That's crazy because I didn't even know that. See, this is the stuff that people, they hide from people. I didn't know that. I'm glad I listened to this one. I didn't know that. I didn't know that there was a gun enhancement. I had no clue.
Take away the gun enhancement, and Tory Lanez has served enough time. He qualified for that 85%. He'll be out right now. So this is not a situation of, yo, free Tory Lanez because, part of him, he's 100% innocent. Okay, cool. All right. But this is a situation of take away the gun enhancement that was very unusual and don't happen to a lot of people under Gascon. Tory Lanez's father and Congresswoman Luna was on Piers Morgan today. And while on Piers Morgan, they gave such a compelling argument that even Piers Morgan had to call out Megan Thee Stallion for being inconsistent and lying.
I don't think you need to be a conspiracy theorist, Representative Luna, to see there's a lot of inconsistency going on here. She denied to Gayle King that there was any relationship with Tory. She then admits that there had been, that she lied. She doesn't admit to lying about the circumstances of the shooting, but certainly this goes to the heart of her veracity.
That's bad news for Megan Thee Stallion altogether. Where you have Piers Morgan on a platform this big calling you a liar and claiming that your past statements of you lying can actually be used to determine the veracity of your overall statements on Tory Lanez, that's bad. Now,
that's what I said.
Tory Lanez's father actually laid out a pretty solid case for Tory Lanez. On his platform, he actually spoke to the corruptness of what took place to Tory Lanez at trial. I was there when Sean Kelly was supposed to testify. Sean Kelly was the defense witness. Tory Lanez and them called Sean Kelly to the witness stand because Sean Kelly gave a statement to the police testifying that he seen a woman fire the gun. When Sean Kelly got to that office, man, the prosecutors brought him upstairs. And by the time Sean Kelly came back downstairs to testify, his story has completely changed. And a lot of us sat there with our mouths open like, what? Sean Kelly's statement got so bad and it was so contradicting to what he told the police that Tory Lanez's team filed or they petitioned to treat Sean Kelly as a hostile witness. That's when your witness turns against you. So now you got to treat him as if it's a cross-examination. And that's what they did. Sean Kelly had this entire story he already gave to where he saw a woman shoot. Then when he hopped on the stand, he said he saw a woman shoot and a man shoot.
Walking through this, I'll never forget the day when we're sitting outside of the courtroom getting ready for court to reconvene. And imagine the only independent witness, which should have been the only objective witness in this case, was a gentleman by the name of Sean Kelly. Interestingly enough, the only person that would be able to have an unbiased viewpoint of what actually happened. Imagine that the prosecution did not want to call that witness. Why? This is the only independent witness, but yet you don't want to call this person because obviously his bird's eye view will not support what you want the narrative to be. And so
And I said this when they watched the case. I didn't understand this. Like, y'all have a witness who's seen the whole like, what's the point of what's the point of being a witness to something? If you're going to sit there and say that witness is incredible or we don't need him as a witness, when you know that this person said, and then he changing his story. This is crazy, bro. It's crazy.
we sat outside, my wife and I, we saw this gentleman come in and we sat down and it was identified for us that, oh, this is Mr. Sean Kelly. He's sitting across from us on the other side of the hallway. And as we sat there, the prosecution came out, one of their detectives or investigators rather, and one of the prosecutors, they took this gentleman, they went upstairs, I believe it was to the 14th floor at that time. By the time this man came down, the witness they did not want to call, this man came down and his testimony became so embellished with other nonsense that people who saw it just looked at it and said, this is crazy.
I was there. and I can speak for the temperature in the room. People were shocked and stunned. It became a battle. It became very hostile very quickly. The defense called a witness, and the witness turned against them after a meeting with the prosecutors minutes before he was called. I'm saying that's crazy, that's foul. And regardless of if you think Tory Lanez is guilty or not, you should look at that and say, that's crazy, bruh. How is this allowed? How? How? Now, Tory Lanez's father also laid out a case in terms of the DNA, in terms of, the gun fragments that weren't found, and he spelled this out pretty perfectly.
Just one last question, because you've made me think of this, but if your son was not responsible for Megan Thee Stallion being shot, we do know that indisputably she was shot. Who shot her?
First of all, the whole idea of her being shot is a speculation. That's a speculation. It's to this point has not been proven that she was even shot. That in all of this, how can you have a situation where in pretrial, the police, LAPD, says that the bullet fragments they had collected from the hospital just mysteriously vanishes. It goes missing. I would think that evidence is something that is protected in any police department, but they just mysteriously go missing. So there's no bullet fragments to be presented at trial. You have a situation where a gun is shot, and the gun, which is supposed to be your main piece of evidence, does not even show up at court, but some picture of a weapon that resembles this is the type of weapon they say that was used. The weapon does not show up at court. There is absolutely no, we hear this point of 0.1% of his DNA on the gun. Do you know what that actually means when you investigate it? That over 1.5 billion black people on the planet could have been their DNA.
This is crazy. I don't think anybody can look at this case regardless of how they feel.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Yo, if you listen, bro, that's crazy. I'm sorry. That's crazy. That's crazy. Y'all don't think that that's crazy? That's crazy. So man.
Even if they feel like in their heart, man, Tory Lanez, you did it. You can't, with a clear mind that's not biased, look at this and say, no gun was presented, no bullet fragments was presented, testimonies changed a lot. The witness claimed that he seen a woman shoot. Then he claimed he seen Tory shoot after the prosecutors coached him. The witness, who was actually in the car, Kelsey, took the stand and testified that she didn't see Tory Lanez shoot her. She don't know what happened. Bro, anybody can look at this and say, yo, Tory Lanez, you ain't get a fair shot in court. And I think that's what people are asking for, a fair shot. They're not saying, yo, overturn it overturn it, but bro, bring it back to court. Bring it back to court and have them have another shot in court. But let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think about this, man?
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, this is getting reckless. The more and more I see this whole case, it's getting reckless. I mean, I just hope he get a fair shot. And if it wasn't him and it was somebody that shot her, which probably was her friend, they need to go after her. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But thank y'all for joining me. I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all on the next one, man. You have yourself a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I'm out of here.